the mandate given by the First Presidency and the presiding bishopric is to only focus on financial growth. EPA employees are told that the money will be used after the second coming of Jesus Christ or during Armageddon right before he would come again.
One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
We do not say that all of the saints will be spared and saved from the coming day of desolation. But we do say there is no promise of safety and no promise of security except for those who love the Lord and who are seeking to do all that he commands. It may be, for instance, that nothing except the power of faith and the authority of the priesthood can save individuals and congregations from the atomic holocausts that surely shall be. And so we raise the warning voice and say, take heed, prepare, watch, and be ready. There is no security in any course except the course of obedience and conformity and righteousness.
From the storm and from wrath, when it shall be poured out without measure upon the whole earth. While we are powerless to alter the fact of the second coming and unable to know its exact time,
in coming days, Savior returns with power and great glory.
For the first time, we have an idea now of how much the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints big investment fund performed over the course of a year.
That fund is called Ensign Peak Advisors, and Fox 13 News investigative reporter Nate Carlisle found the public document showing how many billions of dollars it gained in 2020.
Over the last year, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been more forthcoming about how it's investing tithing money. This latest filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission shows that despite the economic downturn of the pandemic, the church's big investment fund made money. This filing with the SEC shows the holdings of Ensign Peak Advisors at the end of 2020. When added all up, it shows the fund gained more than $6 billion in one of the most difficult financial years in American history.
Travis, my good soul. On Saturday, March 14th, 2020, an innocent sister missionary, 19 years old, in the Las Vegas, Nevada mission, got to hear from President Dallin H. Oaks, who said to the missionaries exclusively, "This is not the end of the world, but merely a test. A trial run for the second coming." That trial run cost the lives of, as of last Wednesday's Utah reporting, 47,884 lives in Utah. They're dead. Every single Mormon knows somebody who died because of that test trial run in 2020. Murder to get gain. As Fox 13 News Utah came out with a news clip in 2021 of how Ensign Peak Advisors were the big winners on the stock market for 2020, where everybody else was tanking. Murder to get gain. And that was just the test run. So here we go. Bloodbath 2024. There has only been one person who figured this all out for you, who had been warning you, begging you to repent, begging you to turn your way so that we can go build Zion, so that we can live in peace, safety, and refuge. And Mormons wouldn't. Thomas B. Marsh warned the Missouri governor of the threat of what became this Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And the governor listened to him and caused an extermination order. But Thomas B. Marsh believed Joseph Smith was responsible. He didn't live long enough or stick around long enough to learn that Section 117, written and published in Brigham Young's Doctrine and Covenants the year before he died, would confess that Joseph Smith had nothing to do with the 1838 coup of Joseph Smith. The Nicolaitan Band, using the great and abominable Church of Christianity as the United States would shut it down in 1887. And then Heber J. Grant deceived Mormons into thinking the church still existed, but formed a corporation instead, turning Mormons into cash cows to pay for this test run in 2020 and for the bloodbath in 2024. to turn survivors into cannibals. Book of Mormon warned you. The Bible prophecies warned you. And you still won't listen. You reject Joseph Smith, refusing to believe that he was warning you. The additions to Malachi, and you don't believe it. You go around the world continuing the lies that we're Christian, that Jesus is the Christ, blaming Jesus to be the one who's the mass murderer of terrorism. When Oaks confessed, Jesus isn't doing it. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is. So maybe you want to claim that they're getting their directions directly from Jesus. So Jesus, therefore, is telling them to murder you, to coup the government, spread poop on the walls of the Capitol. How does that make Jesus the good guy? I'm still seeing abominable. All of Christian religions all believe Jesus is coming as a mass murdering terrorist. Not a single Christian religion believes in a Jesus of love. They claim he's a God of love. They threaten other people to love them and not judge them for their evils and crimes. But no, that's not love. I have warned my government of this threat. Even with this leaked confession by Oaks to little kids who he believed would not understand what he told them, who would not share it, would not leak it. Oh, Oaks, you do not know the Mormons. Mormons leak everything when it's a president of the church or an apostle, because they want to be cool and popular, to be loved by others. The church is true. And so, yeah, the church doesn't want you to know about it. From the Way to Perfection, Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. The saints cannot know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. Yet it'll be preparatory to the coming in the clouds of glory of Jesus. The coming of Jesus Christ as a thief. You kind of misunderstood the parables about that. You're not supposed to rob God to commit acts of murder and terrorist coup. God. But that's what the whistleblower told us. The church is purposely hoarding money for Armageddon. Everything is to that end. And their Oaks confessed, yep, 2020. It was a test run. 2024 is it. The big event. The final solution. The master plan. 200 years in the making. That Joseph Smith Sr. exposed and saved America on 9/11/1826 for. That sacrificed his son to be the one to start the religion with the Book of Mormon to warn America and the world of the coming threat. And Mormons are going to be utterly destroyed, still being under condemnation for their neglect of the Book of Mormon. All I wanted was to get to Zion. This was my big interest in the church. I wanted to know everything about it. And I was able to figure it all out by finding out if Joseph Smith really is a translator. As I would go on to decipher Paleo-Hebrew, and thus decipher the learning of the Egyptians and the language of the Egyptians, as they were dead languages, popular scholars lying about having deciphered them. And thus figured out what the actual Bible text is telling us. And Mormon's big clue is that we're Jewish, not Christian. And Mormons either are illiterate or they're pretending to be illiterate, which means they're maliciously evil. I had the commenter the last couple of days who wanted to say that, of course, Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are Jewish. Christians are Jewish. No. So I still have not gotten his response to calling him out as a white supremacist, Christian nationalist, anti-Semite for thinking that Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon are Christian and yet still call it Jewish, defining Jewish as Christian. Joseph Smith says that's abominable. That's why the first creed of Christianity, the creation of Christianity, the creation of Jesus, the replacement of the Jews, the replacement of their scriptures, calling them literal history now. And thus why this Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints turned Joseph Smith's visionary accounts and Book of Mormon into literal histories, as Joseph calls it, abominable. And Mormons are either stupid or plain stupid. And then they get mad when you call them stupid or plain stupid. Bleep you, you terrorist. You're the enemy. Joseph Smith exposed you as the enemy. Technically, your ancestors, but you're a descendant in the DNA. You know, Mormons, when they read, there will be a transfer of government authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer to the rightful King Jesus Christ, they think that's real. That Lucifer's real, that Jesus is real, and they're going to be at Adam-on-Diamond together, and Lucifer's going to somehow hand over keys of government. But isn't Biden the president? And so maybe there's some enlightened Mormons who know Lucifer isn't real and know and understand that it's actually Biden and that Jesus is actually President Nelson. Yeah. That's what it is. That the heads of government are going to hand over the government to Nelson. Oakes just said it. 2020 is a test for 2024. And so no, Trump was never going to be the one who hands over the government. Trump is the puppet of this church. That's what it's saying. Because there was a coup. Remember, it wasn't just murder to get gain. There was an attempted coup. A test, a trial run of a coup to overthrow the government, to have a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer to the rightful King Jesus Christ. And here we go. The big event. The big coup to overthrow America. And you think it's Jesus who's going to come down and murder everybody in a terrorist act? Members of the church at large will not know of it. The saints cannot know of it. The coming of Jesus as a thief to steal the government, to steal America, to steal money, to profit off of all of this. And I've warned you. I've had the thumbnail pictures include the way to perfection to remind you. And Mormons still play dumb. Or are you dumb? I cannot help those who will not be helped. I have apostles that have been called because they desire to do the work. But Zion is the people. Zion isn't the leadership. Zion isn't the buildings. Zion is the people. And without people, there is no Zion. And you can't have wickedness be the people. The people have to be righteous, not self-righteous. There's only one commandment: love. And when you take away the agency of others, take away their life, take away their liberty, take away their property, you are not loving them. You are the enemy. You are the criminal. This church is the enemy. Joseph Smith warned you. 19 July 1840, Joseph Smith warned you that this enemy, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, led by Brigham Young, was going to overthrow the government. Constitution on the brink of ruin. Yeah, you heard it as hang by a thread by Brigham Young. Brigham Young knew what Joseph Smith said. He was there. Joseph Smith called out Brigham Young and his Danites in the 12. Is it I? Or is it I? Specifically, how Joseph Smith identified them in the audience. And for that, they murdered Joseph. Paid the Judas price and had him murdered. So, let me cover some of this other notes stuff that I have so I can throw this paper away and not let it accumulate. Ukraine and Israel are incapable of escalating the wars against them. And yet I'm hearing the news with the latest attacks by Israel with Hezbollah. The news is saying that Israel escalated the war. Even a Hezbollah leader was interviewed, I think it was CNN, claiming that how can Hezbollah defend themselves with an enemy with so much firepower? He's in denial that he was the first causation. Denying October 7th, denying Hezbollah's escalation to support Hamas, and even of their protection of Hamas leaders. Every single attack by Israel always turns up to have been targeting leaders of these terrorist groups. When the news is all saying, oh, civilians are getting slaughtered, they're starving, Israel must stop. Do you not get it? Islam is the enemy. They're purposely lying and playing the victim. They go and cause destruction, and then when Israel goes in to get their hostages, Islam then claims to be victims of Israel. And the press and the UN and government leaders and people all over the world say, oh yeah, Israel, bad, they need to stop. And you have no clue that this is all the church's plot. The church. 2020 was a test run. 2024 is the big deal. So what's happened since 2020? The church says we're going to cause it. Everything that has happened since 2020 is caused by the church. That's what Oaks is saying. Oaks is saying we're the enemy. We're causing everything. And I warned you that this was what was going on before I even got this leaked document from Oaks's talk. I'm the only one standing up to defend you. I stand alone, like the Scorpion King. Do you even know that that's the theme song for the Scorpion King with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson? The movie. I have associative memory, so I'm able to tie in everything I've accumulated in my brain all these years. And so, yes, you will not understand me if you do not understand pop culture. But yes, there are some pop cultures that I've missed. It was back in the 90s. And so, yeah, I used to be tested on my knowledge of music and up until the 90s, yeah, I know it all. But once the 90s hit, yeah, it was very clear that I was cut off from pop culture in the 90s. So that's what happens when you get married. And get taken hostage up into Canada and forced to learn that Joseph Smith is a translator. And get free babies that you can just select from the hospitals. Babies for sale. Take one. Take all. We'll pay you for the babies. It's Canada. And so just as Islam sacrifices their own people in this holy war against Israel, jihad, so too is Oaks saying, yeah, you're being sacrificed, Mormons. Because what's going to happen for 2024? The test run was 2020. I read the stats by our own Utah government. Over 47,000 of you dead. That was just for the test run. And that's not counting the 100 deadliest days of every summer, which this year was record-breaking. Even before it happened, before the day it started this year, it was reported in the news that it's coming, the annual event. And I told you, this is the time when Utah drivers run into buildings and houses. And so sure enough, at the start of the 100 days, somebody ran into a building. And then a couple days later, into a house. Dear God. It's like they hear the news reports and they say, maybe I should do that. Dumb. Stop it. And so yeah, all of the psychologists getting busted. Yeah, that's the test run. Psychology is causing the division. The division is a war tactic. Psychology is causing the war. And the church is a part of it. So, in the Book of Mormon, the Nephites were never the aggressors. They didn't just decide, you know what? Those Lamanites, we better get them before they get us. No, they never do that. It's the Lamanites who do that. We need to hunt them down and control them and enslave them to us. We are the government leaders and they must obey us. Let's go get them. We're going to march to a completely distant land to find them, hunt them down, and subject them to our will for them. And you don't see that as Lucifer's plan of happiness, that we as Mormons get exclusive doctrine on. See, Christians don't even get that information. And so, only by allowing the enemy inside to infiltrate your society and then the government did the Nephites finally fall. They allowed the kingmen in, they allowed the secret combinations in. The kingmen's story, Captain Moroni was able to convince the president of the Nephites to invoke the Insurrection Act. 3 Nephi chapter 7, however, says that the president would not listen to Captain Moroni, and thus the federal government would fall as the separate United States of the Nephites would become separate but equal and go their own way with their own laws, becoming independent nation states with the fall of the federal government. And of course there would be natural disasters. As I told you, you gotta listen to those weather girls with the 7-day forecast. Those prophetesses and revelatoresses need to be listened to, and Americans don't. And so here we come with another one. Gonna strike America. And everybody's just sitting back on their couch going, huh, okay. Well, when it happens, I'll just go to the grocery store and there'll be plenty of food on the shelves so that I can get what we need and we can just hunker down and wait till it passes. If we ignore it, it'll go away. You know, Trump has his magic Sharpie. He'll just draw it in a different direction and we'll be safe. The United States Constitution, Articles 4 and 6, strongly suggest we obey it, to not allow anybody with an other government to run for office. No party governments, no communism, no fascism, no Marxism, no socialism, no any other creation other than a constitutional republic, that we are supposed to only vote for representatives who take an oath of office to protect and defend every American citizen with equal rights of life, liberty, and property as guaranteed in the United States Constitution. And yet, this is what we're witnessing. Communism versus fascism, fighting to coup America. As the communists failed to protect America from the fascist coup test run. And here they go again, going at it, as Islam now rose up. As they first made their move in the 2022 midterms, all setting up and preparing for this year. So, and then finally, sweet little Mary. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. Mary the Mormon. She has not deleted my comment I saw last night. The second one. First one, yeah, it's gone. But the second one still remains. It's interesting. But I noticed she took off doing videos on Sunday. I haven't gone back to see a pattern of that, if that's what she does, but I don't know. She's just new in my life. But too many Mormons with the lies of this church are getting their lives ruined, relationships ruined, as they blame others for what the church caused. See, Mary blames other guys for the failed relationships rather than blaming the church for the failed relationships. Nobody wants to identify a causation. As psychologists are telling you not to look for a causation. Let's not cast blame. Let's figure out how to get over it and move on despite the chaos that's going on around us. How to live in peace among chaos. So let crime prevail. Let the shooters come into the school as long as you are at peace with yourself. Let the government be cooed as long as you're at peace with yourself. Let the baby murder you because you're not allowed an abortion. Let you live in peace with it as you die. That's psychology. They're getting locked up in the state of Utah. They're being shut down. Not family services. They're branching out, having fled the country to third world countries to promote family services psychos to them. Yay. They already sent out the missionaries to coup the governments, and now they're sending in the psychologists to help them get over it.